Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Bob here, and today I have a video for you detailing what I feel like Dragon Ball fighters should really incorporate that I can absolutely benefit from. Now, a lot of these are personal taste. Some of these that it doesn't really need in order for the overall product to be better, but some I feel like will be really good quality of life changes, and there's some things that I feel like really could be implemented that would be really fun to just dick around with. Also kind of stealing this format from Roofermonger, but you know what? It's okay. Let's just go ahead and get this shit going. Now, one of the first things I would personally love to be included in fighters, and this is just more of a general thing, would be for characters to have access to alternate colors to their original costumes, or, nah, I just said that wrong, alternate costumes to their models. One of the reasons I want this is because when Super Saiyan Blue, Goku, and Vegeta were announced for the game, I was actually really stoked to be able to play as them in their Whis training gi, or at least Goku in that, and then Vegeta in his training armor. However, none of them are actually like that. Vegeta and Goku are both stuck in their regular Dragon Ball Super costumes, and I don't know why. It's just a thing I would personally like, and I think a lot of other people would like this concept as well. Not necessarily for Goku and Vegeta, that would be for me, but for other examples would be like, I don't know, Gohan getting his dad's outfit from BoJack Unbound. Something I would personally love that Piccolo has access to would be Piccolo's full cape and hat, or whatever that thing on his head is called. That would be fantastic as well. And then there's other small little things like, you know, 18 having her later Cell Saga outfit, the one she stole from Chi-Chi, or maybe Goku in a really goofy outfit. I know I wouldn't expect him to have the Ardra outfit, but something else for him, like, I don't know, battle damage armor would be pretty cool. But yeah, I feel like this would just be a really nice touch across the board for a lot of characters. And I can already expect that if that were to be a thing, Trunks will be stuck with his really weird Dragon Ball Super outfit. So I'll take that if it means I can get some other cool outfits. So I guess I'll compromise. Now, going along with the cosmetics, something else I think would be really nice for fighters, I think a lot of people would probably agree with this, is different spark effects for different characters. So, like, for example, we have Goku here, and if he were to activate sparking, something I think would be really cool is if he just immediately activated Super Saiyan 2. Now, he does have access to Super Saiyan 3 as a level 3 super, but I think giving him a way to access different forms through different gameplay mechanics, like, I don't know, sparking, I think that'd be a really cool thing to add a little bit of flavor to the character as a whole. And of course, if you want to go that route and want to be a little extreme, you could give Super Saiyan to Bardock as a sparking move. Now, I know that would look weird considering he already has Super Saiyan as a level 3, but I think, you know, again, giving him access to different transformations that aren't just strictly like cutscenes, I think would be really good. Same goes for Super Saiyan Blue Goku. Him getting the Kaioken aura on top of his blue aura for just like regular sparking, I think that'd be really cool. Like, hell, you even kind of have it a little bit with this regular sparking effect with the red glow on him. So I think just going full hog and just letting him do this would be really cool. And other small things I think would be cool is if, I mean, Frieza getting 100% full power would look a little weird considering his already pre-existing moveset. I just imagine Piccolo getting like a bigger white aura like how he had against Android 17. I think a lot of these would be really cool small things that would add a lot more personality to each character. And coupled with, you know, what I proposed about each character having a new costume, I think there would be a lot of small, really cool things that would really flesh out each team in their own playstyle. Now, something else I would personally want, and this is something that a lot of people agree with, although some probably would, I want Team Gohan, personally speaking, to have a better moveset. Now, I've talked about this a little bit in my first impressions of his actual moveset, back when I was playing this game after I beat story mode, and I am just so disappointed that the character who's known for really big Kamehameha waves, well, granted, he does have the Saiyan Kamehameha wave for a level 1, Team Gohan has no beams whatsoever to speak of in his base form. And for that matter, I still think Team Gohan in this game is the biggest disappointment for me personally. Now, I know a lot of people out there are vying more for like Beerus to get a complete rework of his moveset, and I absolutely agree with that, but I don't think he needs... I think Beerus just needs a rework in general for how his projectiles work, What Team Gohan here, what I'm more proposing is just like a handful of new moves to flush him out. Now, when it comes to a top tier character in this game, you usually think of like some, I don't know, Cell on the opposite side here, because he has, well, he has a beam, he has a full screen teleport, he has command normals on the ground, well, not command normals, he's got specials on the ground he can access, as well as 2 different variations of each of them. Now, Gohan doesn't really have a lot of this. He doesn't have a beam, surprisingly. He doesn't even have Masenko in his form. It still baffles me. He doesn't have a dive kick. No real easy ways of approaching the opponent. To date, Team Gohan's only really good trait is his block pressure and his combo damage. And don't get me wrong, each one of those is pretty good in their own right, but this is the best he has for a long-range normal, and that's not doing anything. I mean, he does have his specials, but each of them is pretty limited in terms of function. He does have a DP, which is, that's kind of nice, but just in terms of approaching, it's not good. So I just want him to have new tools. I want to have a beam, a dive kick, some way of rapidly approaching the opponent, like, I don't know, give him something random like Vegito's flips, which is hilarious coming from me, the Vegito player, but it's something I feel like he needs to make him feel more complete. I mean, it's just me, but granted, he does have bomb loops, which is kind of neat, but it's not something I would consider like mainstay worthy whatsoever. So that's just me personally. Now, this is something that I personally want, and some people would probably agree, but I don't know how many of them actually would. I want a revamped story mode for, like, even, if not Season 2, well, probably not Season 2, not that soon, but whenever they make, like, Fighters Exod Revelator, which, knowing Arc System works, they're most likely to do, something I really want is not necessarily a new story mode, but one that's expanded and broadened a little bit. So, I've been doing a Let's Play of the story mode, and for the most part, I don't have many gripes with it. It functions, it allows you to choose the number of characters that you can mess around with. Like, I have an appreciation for a lot of the Super Saiyan Blue characters. I've been able to mess around with Nappa for a little bit. I have appreciation for using Frieza. All that good stuff. But I feel like there's still a lot of missed opportunity. Now, something I would personally want, and strictly speaking, this is just me, but I would want some way to incorporate Beerus into story mode somehow as either a fightable boss or a playable character. Because I feel like that'd be something to really allow players to just mess around with him and just dive into the nitty-gritty of what makes him good. As well as some way of, I don't know, allowing for Trunks and Goku Black to be playable. Because Goku Black and Trunks, their arc is right after this one. And it's already hilarious because both Vegito Blue and Zamasu, who are at the tail end of the Goku Black arc, are already DLC characters. So I don't think it'd be too much of a stretch to, I don't know, make some weird filler arc that would be like right afterwards going into the Tournament of Power arc, which that'd be strange, but I can imagine that since, well, I mean, Jiren's already kind of a given. I think we can already unanimously agree Jiren is going to be DLC at some point in the future. But I think it'd be really cool if you had access to, I don't know, DLC characters as playable characters, as stupid as that it would be. I just think story mode needs a little more beefing up. I don't think people will have as many gripes with it as they do right now. Now, getting more into the actual gameplay side of things, this is something I would like to see improved a little bit, and that's the reward you actually get for getting a Z-Reflect on someone in the middle of a block string. Or more like, just improving Z-Reflect a little bit. As things stand, I don't think Z-Reflect is the best option. In fact, I think it's more like a really weird parry, like Advanced Guard from Marvel, but like not that kind of parry. It's more just this really weird push guard you can use to temporarily become invincible to some attacks. So like, for example here, if Goku Black were to start doing this string against me, what I can do is it's generally good to use the Advancing Guard, I'm already saying that. No, Z-Reflect on the end of his block string with the 2H, and you can just push him out for free. Now that's pretty cool and all, but it doesn't really net you a lot of reward. Like, he can just kind of do it, and it's like, yeah. But in terms of me actually punishing it, there's not much incentive to actually do it. In fact, in some instances, it'd be easier to just let him stay in my face, because with this, his 2H is incredibly unsafe, so I can just do that. But if I were to guess correctly, he's going to be doing this, I can't really do too much from this range. So I feel like there needs to be a little more reward for players who are in a block string and they manage to successfully guess Z-Reflect going on. I imagine this would be especially pleasing to people who have trouble finding Adult Gohan, because where I'm at in Super Saiyan 2, I haven't fought too many good Adult Gohans, but the ones I have fought that are good are terrifying to deal with, especially with EX machine gun kicks. So just something to make Z-Reflect a little more worthwhile. Like, I'm not suggesting you have like a balls in parry from Street Fighter 3 or something. I just think that would break the game, especially making, you know, the generic overhead completely obsolete, as well as making doing rush the dashes especially obsolete, because you can just immediately press forward. I'm just saying there should be a little more reward, like maybe, I don't know, bonus meter you can stack up. Because as a Tekken player, this bothers me that I can't. If I get the read, it's like, okay, what do I do now? Granted, it does reset to neutral, which is really good. But I think there should be some bonus on top of that. But that's just me. I think that'd be pretty good. Now, going off of that a little more, I think there should be better defensive options in this game in general. Now, when I say better defensive options, I'm not saying you go balls to the wall with Guilty Gear / BlazBlue's incredible amount of defensive systems. Like, I don't think you should have a burst system. I don't think you should have any weird mechanics like that. As things stand right now in fighters, I think just having one dedicated bar for meter, or rather one gauge for meter that you can use for attacks, and one sparking gauge, I think this is perfect as far as what we have right now. But I do think that there should be a little more benefit for defensive play, because like my example from before, if I block this shit from Goku Black, there's not really much I can do besides, if he decides not to do an assist to cover his 2H, I can't do shit. And it especially goes like if, you know, there's the frequent gripe people have with like super dashes. Like I've had weird instances where like super dashes cross, like I predict a super dash from the ground, and I go for the 2H, but it just completely, it crosses me up mid dash, and it hits me regardless. That's infuriating. So I feel like having additional defense options against these kinds of things would be good. What they are, I can't really say for sure. Like, as a Vegito player, I'm lucky because I have chicken block Spirit Sword in the air, so I have some means of protection. Like, as far as like guessing right on a block string and just like going for this. But for everyone else, it's like, what do you do if you're actually in a block string and you have this Adult Gohan just breathing down your fucking neck? There's not a lot you can do besides getting a random Z-Reflect off. So I think something in terms of additional defensive measures will be pretty good for not necessarily turning this game into turtling up and just staying on the other side of the screen, but just dissuading a little bit from just like staying in your opponent's face for 12 years. That's my personal takeaway from that. Now, this is also something that's just for me personally as a Tekken player, but I want throws to be adjusted a little bit to the point that you can't just break them by pressing one button. Like with Goku Black here, he said to throw me. I can break him with I can break the throw with literally anything. Like, I can mash light, I can mash medium. Also, the fact that there's kind of a big tell that throw is coming based on what's happening. You know, with the giant orb that comes out from around him and everything. Now, this is particularly irksome for me because it's like, while I do feel like I am getting lucky sometimes where, you know, as a Vegito player, I'm fishing for these lights just out in the open because of this really weird fucking hitbox that Vegito has. However, I think that I really do believe that I shouldn't be rewarded for just hammering buttons by just option selecting not only his Dragon Dashes, or I guess this is Dragon Dash, option selecting his super dashes, his forward dashes, and his throws all at the same time. Like, if as me as a Vegito player, I can just kind of like do whatever, and I can evade both his throw attempts and just everything else on top of it. So, but I will say though that having this be a tech catch in the air, that is pretty cool. So I will say though that I think maybe they should remain unblockable in the air if you get the hard read. But I don't think you should be able to break a throw just by mashing light or just some random dumb bullshit. I think you should have to press the throw button in order to actually break the throw. Now, would that kind of really be difficult to do, especially in this game where there's a lot of shit flying all over the screen all at the same time? Yeah, potentially. But conversely, also think that, you know, you just make it so throws don't happen if you're in block stun. I mean, that's already a thing, but I think that should be reinforced. That's just me. Okay, so taking a trip back over to the character selection menu for a minute, there's one thing that I really want this game to include. It's actually something that even the worst Dragon Ball Z games have actually included. And it has to do with the costumes again, but this is more specific. I want a color slider for, you know, costumes that you can use. Now, this is a little bit of a slippery slope. For anyone who's ever seen Street Fighter Cross Tekken, you might remember that people online would frequently have their characters in just hard all black, which might sound pretty cool for some of you edgelords out there, but this was hell to deal with because every single one of these like all black costumes would be literally an actual void to look at. And the reason that makes it hard is because if you're trying to react to your opponent doing something, all you're seeing is just a shadow with no depth perception. So, but I still think you should have the option of having a color slider regardless. Because as long as you have it so you don't get like any darker than this, or oh wait, I have a perfect example as the fucking Vegeta player, and no darker than this, I think you'll be totally okay because this is a fine baseline for just like black colors in general. I think from here you should expand upwards because one of the reasons I personally really want a color slider is because, being completely honest here, a lot of Vegeta's colors besides color 12 kind of suck. Like, I really don't like a lot of these are just too vibrant. Maybe they'll still match his look. Like, this would be good if not for, like, the purple sash. And the yellow is garish. The pink is, if I want to be Captain Falcon. This just doesn't even look good. This is almost good, but the weird navy blue just kind of ruins it. Or, like, the weird blue-green. That's why I want a color slider. Because I would love, like... I want this costume, but with, like, I don't know... this red for the undershirt. I think that'd be really cool, but unfortunately this game does not have that. Which is a shame, because I vividly remember there have been Arc System Works games in the past that allow you to do this. But for the most part, I just think this would be a good thing to include. If you're not going to have something like, I don't know, alternate costumes for characters. Because I feel like that'd be a really good thing to include. Speaking of which, I don't know what you have for Cell's an alternate costume. Battle damage? I don't know. That's just a guess. That got me. Now, a personal thing that bothers the hell out of me, and this is something I really do want in general, as well as a lot of people I've seen as well. Lobbies need improving. So part of that is because you have these top two lobbies up here, which are just general meeting lobbies, and you just wait for online matches. Every time I go into one of these, it could be like 50 out of 64 people, and then I get in. I spend maybe half an hour in training mode. Then I leave, and it just boosts me right back to this menu. For example, in the time I've been recording this video, I've been booted back to this menu 4 times. Just in the time from going to training mode to going back to the lobby. Instead of going back to the lobby, oh, it takes me back here. I think this is a huge pain in the ass, and this isn't a deal breaker whatsoever, because it's like, oh, I could just jump right back in, no big deal. But the thing is, if you're in a crowded lobby, and you're trying to meet with someone specific, if you get kicked, you have to then organize who the hell you're going to go, or where you're going to go with the person in order to actually get to a decent server that you can actually talk to them in. So this is a massive pain in the dick, and frankly it's getting to the point that I'm like, okay, if I'm just going to do training mode, I may as well just do offline lobby, because god, trying to deal with just getting booted over and over again and trying to get myself back in, it's not horrible, but it's just enough of a flick in the nuts that it makes me reconsider. Now, the last thing that I would personally want to be dealt with in Dragon Ball FighterZ at some point in the future, this is a big thing, but I feel like this would definitely help a lot of newer players. I think there needs to be a better way to deal with Smurf accounts. Now, this is strictly my own opinion, and this is my own experiences as well. But so currently, I am somewhere around these ranks. This game won't allow me to pinpoint exactly where it is for some odd reason. But this is a thing I've experienced before. So currently I'm around Super Saiyan 2 rank. I would say I'm decent. Like, I made it about almost halfway up the world leaderboards for the PS4 version, which isn't too bad. But the thing is, like, I used to be way down in, like, Earthling ranks, and I would face players that are way better than I am right now. Like, I have fought repeatedly, like, tournament level players way the hell down here, and I have no way of really defending myself against them. So, I think there needs to be a way to, I think there needs to be a better way of discerning who is a Smurf account when you're getting into a match. Now, one easy way of doing this would probably just be letting you see the character, when you're selecting a player, you can see the win-loss ratio. Now, maybe not exactly those numbers, but knowing if they have a win ratio above 90%, which, I mean, let's be honest, if you're just starting fighters and you're, like, even if you're a modicum amount decent, if you're jumping into this game online, you're not just starting off with, like, there's no way in hell you're going 50-0 and you just happen to be destroying everyone lower ranks. There's just no way that's happening whatsoever. So I feel like this would be really decent for helping players get off the ground more. This was something that was a pain in the ass for me before I actually became somewhat decent at this game in order to actually go on and just actually win some stuff. But I feel like this would actually help segment those players who are actually at that appropriate skill level instead of rewarding players who potentially, now I know this isn't an always case because sometimes there are really good players who just start rank, but I mean the sheer influx of really obscenely good players I saw at the start of my ranked climb, I could definitely tell these are players that were well above my rank. So I think this is something that should probably be touched upon. Maybe bringing back the ability to see their win-loss ratios when you're selecting in matches. I think that'd be pretty decent. I think that would probably help a lot of people get off the ground and actually learn the ins and outs of the game. So that way they're not just, Left 4 Dead and that you end up with like a 50% win ratio when you really have like a 70 or an 80. And that's not me specifically because I should be around like a 65% maybe, but God, there's just a lot of obscenely good players that just happen to have like 50 wins in a row for no reason, just a little weird. And there you have it, guys. Now, of course, these aren't everything I would like to see done in a Season 2 / a sequel of Fighters. Like, for example, I think that having Gogeta and Janemba in the game would be a really good addition. I'm not necessarily a big fan of Jiren, but I think his inclusion wouldn't be a bad thing per se. And I know there's a lot of characters in the game who do need complete reworks, like, even despite the buffs that Beerus got in the recent balance patch update from EVO, he is still the worst character in the game, bar none. And hell, even talking as a I still know how to use hit, but I won't call myself a hit player anymore. Oh, hey, another Vegito. I would not say that hit is worth using in this day and age. I do think that he needs a bit of a rework as well. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Take from this what you will, and leave down in the comments below what you would like to see change in this game in the near future. Because this is a really fucking good fighting game, but it just needs some tweaks to be even just that much better. Just that much better.